Hello everyone, I am Odd Pitpat and it's finally here, the last update for my 100 games. For those who have been following me, you'll know that last year in 2024, I was trying to play 100 games in order to raise money for Macmillan Cancer Support. And well, let me just show you how it has been going. So, hi. Hey, from me, it's me on a different day. I may have forgot to properly save the VOD, so I don't actually have a clip of when I completed this. So, have a sneak peek of one of the forfeits instead.
Cheers.
Skull.
Right, that's good.
As always, this is a little review video that will go through each month with the highest rated, lowest rated and honourable mention for each month of some of the games I have played. Onwards we go. To start off, we have the spooky month of October, where I managed to play a total of 9 games. Now, the highest rated game of this month came out with a score of 4.8 and actually ended up being the highest rated game for me for the entire year. It also so happened to be Game of the Year, and of course that means it is Astrobot. I really loved Astrobot. It was really super nostalgic for me for those classic character platformer games, and there are so many little hidden things in there that give you hints towards old games, like the characters you can let throughout it, some little designs of some of the levels when you're going through them to do some of the secret levels, and it just is a ton of fun. I particularly really enjoyed the end worlds where you get some of those bigger characters like Kratos or Aloy, where you actually kind of get to play as them for a little bit with their sort of different abilities that they have. It was really fun and really brought a different element to the style of gameplay. I had a lot of fun. The music gets stuck in my head quite often. It's just wonderful. It's a fantastic game. It's great for people who are just sort of getting into games and want something that isn't going to be too challenging, but if you do want a challenge, that is absolutely there for you to do as well. It is well-rounded, well thought out, and I just think Astrobot is gonna fly after this. I had so much fun and I recommend everyone give it a go, and if you want to fight me about it being Game of the Year, go ahead, I will defend it. It absolutely deserved that win. It is such a good game. For my lowest rated game at a score of 3 for this month is Minami Lane. Minami Lane is a street building game that has challenges per each level that you play and is one that you sort of unlock extra things as you go. The main focus of this game is sort of keeping your streets clean and keeping your customers happy, and then trying to do these challenges within a certain amount of time. I really enjoyed this game. It looks adorable. The art style is really cute and quite unique in the way it's done. One bad thing I will say about this game is it is criminally short. There is not many levels where you get these challenges, and you can still play outside of those challenges and just sort of keep building and building and building on your street and have it as that sort of cozy, no stakes sort of game. But I would have liked if there were more levels where you could be challenged, so you do have that more guided gameplay for a little bit longer, just because I felt like for what you get, it is really short the amount of time you get these challenges in. Other than that though, it is really fun to play. It is really good to just sort of pick up, play for 5-10 minutes, have a nice little chill and wind down with your little cute little street and little tanuki that pops up every now and again. But yes, I do just wish it had been that little bit longer. My honourable mention for this month is Bramble the Mountain King. I scored this at a 4.4 and I've had this on my radar ever since it came out. I've just only really had the chance recently to be able to play it. I adored this game and the way it brought its folklore to life and how it had that absolute balance of being completely and utterly stunning and completely and utterly horrifying as well with its monster designs and its landscapes. it really pulls you into that world, and there are many points where I was getting shivers sent down my spine because you just looked at something and you're like, oh no, I don't want to encounter that, and then you have to just go and do it anyway. The suspense and the eeriness that it builds in areas is just wonderful, but it also manages to keep that sort of wonder and whimsy that comes with the sort of modern day fairy tales. It really just hones in onto those stories and just takes you through bit by bit. It's not actually that overwhelming in how they do it, and the pacing's done really well, and it's just really fun to play, if not a little difficult, especially when you're trying to keep little gnomes alive. It is just such a fun game to play, and I found it sort of really easy to sort of get through, even with the challenging aspects that it presented, as well as just being scared a good chunk of the time while playing this. Moving on to November, where I had just a wild time and managed to complete 14 games in total, really bringing me towards that end goal. In this month, I put at the top a dark fantasy game called Ender Lilies. Now, this game came out with a score of 4.2 and was just one that I managed to get on PlayStation Plus for free one month, and it's just gorgeous. I mean, absolutely look at it. All of the creature designs are just, the best way I could say is decrepit, but in such a unique way. The battle system is really sort of fluid with the way it works, and you can really customize it to what you want it to be. I don't usually go for games like this because there is sort of a level of difficulty that I tend to not enjoy, but I stuck with this game because I really wanted to know what was going on. Something that surprised me was the absolute twist and intrigue that you got with the story, but also the fact it does have multiple endings. I got to the end and did one part and it was like, well done, you've got ending A, and I'm like, what do you mean? There's multiple ways you could do this, so there is such a replayability with this game as well that I can just go back in, try and get some of those extra bits that I hadn't done yet to try and figure out where the other endings are. It is just really fun to play, and I will say that you can change the battle systems how you want, as I mentioned before, but the abilities that you get, you sort of unlock as you go, so you're constantly learning, constantly adjusting how you're playing to try and figure out, right, these enemies do this, so this weapon is better against them for that, I need to adjust to this. And each boss is unique as well and has their own flair and ways of attacking, and you just sort of start learning these patterns and going through and trying again and again and again until you can get it. It's sort of Souls-esque ish in that way, and does kind of remind me of things like Blasphemous and the ways those go. Those games again I wouldn't usually go for, but this one has made me rethink that and think maybe I should give them a go, because I had so much fun playing this, and by the end of it was so rewarding, especially when you got those particularly tricky enemies and you could just smash them. It was fantastic. The lowest rated game for this month, I gave it a score of 2.8, and that might be a bit harsh, but I just didn't enjoy it. And that was a game called Agent A, A Puzzle in Disguise. This is a sort of escape room styled puzzle game where you have to sort of work through a secret agent's lair essentially and try and figure out what they're doing and try and stop them. It's quite a simple and basic story. There is a bit of a twist partway through, but I kind of saw it coming, and it wasn't like a massively complex story. It was quite simple the way it goes, and the puzzles were quite fun. They're quite cool, but I find it's very easy to become quite convoluted when you get puzzle games like this. I have played quite a lot of my time. I really enjoyed The Room. I have mentioned in previous months are the ones that I have played for this challenge. I love my puzzle games, so I can get quite critical on them. But there were some of the puzzles where it's like you get an item and you don't end up using that item for ages, and you're just holding on to it and you're constantly wondering, like, what am I meant to do with this? So it kind of falls into that point and click puzzle logic where sometimes the solution is an item that you've had the entire game and you're like, oh, but why does that make sense to put it here? I didn't find it anywhere near here. it's things like that. It's not an awful game, and the design's really cool, and it's got a really unique art style. It's very angular, it's very blocky, and I did quite like that. I just think some of the puzzles needed a bit more thinking through, rather than just being like, oh yeah, just use this item, being like, right, let's do this step by step, making sure that you're pulling items from all areas, that solve puzzles from all areas, rather than just getting an item right at the beginning that's usually right near the end of a section you're in. Yeah. My honourable mention for this month is The Fall of Porcupine. I scored this game at 4, and honestly, it's lovely. It's a really lovely game, and it can be a little bit heartbreaking in places. But if you enjoyed games like Night in the Woods, then this is something that I do suggest you try out. It is very, very similar in the way it looks like compared to Night in the Woods, and it's that kind of slice of life wandering around the town that you're in, but it follows a junior doctor who has just started at the hospital in Porcupine, and how they are navigating working there, getting to know the locals, getting to know the culture by going to the town festival and things like that, and just sort of making friends and making roots. It is a really good game, and there's some really good through lines of the story, and there are elements like in Night of the Woods where you have sort of 2 friends and you can decide which one you go and talk to each day, and that will give you different parts of the story. It is really good to play. It is really simple. There are these mini games while you're in the hospital, which is just basically you doing your job, but it's you looking after the patients, and you can get stories from them as you look after them, talk to them, and find out why they're in, what you're helping them with, so on. It is a really good game. I really do suggest having some tissues nearby, because it did make me cry a little bit. There is one storyline in particular that as soon as a certain person comes in, you're just like, well, I know where this is going, and I don't want it to happen, but it does, and it's all about accepting that, and specifically for this doctor to learn that this is a part of what they do, and that they just sort of need to accept it, learn how to process it in their own way, and move on. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, as well as follow me on the various forms of social media that are linked down below. Don't forget that I also stream on twitch.tv/pitpat, and I do this every Wednesday and Saturday unless specified otherwise on social media. Moving on to the final month of this challenge, I managed to complete 7 games in total in December. That took me to that 100 total. The highest rated game of this month came out with a score of 3.6 and was the prequel of Cryptic Killer. Now this is a fun sort of little co-op game that me and Kira played, and we played on stream. It is a puzzle escape room kind of game. You have to play it in tandem, and you're playing as 2 detectives trying to catch the cryptic killer, but you have been caught up in one of his puzzles and you have to solve it to escape and hopefully catch him by the end. I really enjoyed this game. Me and Kira had a lot of fun with it, and the puzzles are really clever. There is a lot of elements that you have to pass information between the 2 of you, but you cannot see each other's screens. There were 1 or 2 points that we did peek on each other's screens because we just got that little bit stuck and was like, right, what are we missing? And it was just little elements that we had to sort of tweak, and there are a lot of puzzles that are like that. You have to sort of keep tweaking and finding those right little bits of like, oh, I've got this number, does that relate to anything on your screen? Oh, it relates to this, right, let's try and do this together. So it does require a lot of communication, and a lot of clear communication, and there are some puzzles where you do kind of just have to keep trying it until you get the exact right thing it's looking for. So there's some that are a little bit tricky and don't quite make sense, but again, I'm quite harsh when it comes to puzzle games, just because I've played a lot, and I know when you can get puzzles that work really well and really smoothly, you just don't really even think too much about why you're doing those things, whereas some in this you're like, well, why would I do that? That doesn't really make sense. But overall, it is a really good game to play. It's really fun, especially if you want to play it with someone who's like long distance, or a friend that you can talk to online, because the ability to play it together without actually having to see the same screen really works really well, and it's just a lot of fun. Just try not to cause too many arguments if you do try it. At the bottom of the month with a score of 3 was a story-driven game called Open Roads. This is a game about a girl and her mother that are packing up their home to move, and they begin to uncover secrets about their family that neither of them realised they had. It is a very emotional, story-driven game. It is mostly just wandering around picking up items and gaining story from those items that then progress what you're doing. It's quite a short game, you can complete it in a couple of hours, but it is really interesting, and it really looks at the dynamic between this mother and daughter and the hardships they have been through and the scandals that they uncover. It is good fun, and there's a lot of like true to life elements to it that just really kind of make you feel a bit warm and fuzzy inside. And just kind of get you thinking about sort of this family and what it was like for them to live together. I do recommend giving it a go. It's not like an awful game, but if you're not sort of interested in those sort of slow burn story driven games, you might not enjoy it, but it is a good one to give a go, especially because you can complete it so quickly. I do want to give an honourable mention this month to Gato Roboto. I gave this score a 3.2, and again, it's not a game that I would usually go for. I am terrible at like 2D platformers. I'm not good at jumping, especially when there's like fighting mechanics included in it. But again, I was really pushing myself to try something different, and I did really enjoy this game. There is a bit of an element where the difficulty sort of jumps around. So like one bit you'll do is really easy, you'll fly through it, you'll get a really hard fight, and then the next fight you get is really easy. And I feel like the balance could be adjusted so it's a bit more even, or a gradual increase as you go. But other than that, it is quite fun. There's sort of bullet hell aspects to it, as well as the mechanics of beating something, gaining something, going on to the next bit, beating something, gaining something, going on to the next bit. And I quite like that progression, because you're always constantly learning and adjusting what you're doing with each new thing you get. There is slight puzzle elements as well, where you have to sort of navigate through this scientific base that you have found whilst a cat in a robotic suit. So there are some elements where you have to jump out of the suit to click a button to move the suit across to get back into it, or elements where you have to use the suit to break bricks and blocks to get into the next area. You have to keep evolving what you're doing so that you're making sure you're using the right cat or robot for the part you are doing. As we start to round up this video, I will start going through some of the games that I've forfeited in the last couple of months. The first being Highland Song. Now you may noticed that earlier in the video I did list Highland Song as a completion, and that's because the forfeit I pulled for it was too bad, finish it. Now this game is all about traversing the Highlands to make it to your uncle's before Beltane, and I was finding that it's very difficult to do so. It was making me extremely frustrated to do that, and I managed to sort of soft lock myself in a specific area because I didn't have the right items or the right maps to get to the next like mountain range. So it was really frustrating, and I just really struggled doing it. But once I got through, I was 3 days late, and it is one that if you replay, the routes you had before are open to you and you can traverse quicker to get to your uncle's by Beltane. The second game that I gave up was House of Da Vinci. You did see a sneak peek earlier of the result of me giving this up, which was me and Kira doing some grow shots. Kira offered to do this with me, bless her heart. I just found that this game was just it's a puzzle game. It's very much like The Room and all that, and like I said, I'm very critical of puzzle games, but this one was just stupid. Some of the puzzles are extremely convoluted and give no hints to the solutions, and there are so many unnecessary steps in solving a lot of the puzzles that I just felt that it dragged everything out for way too long, and it just made it pointless. Like, I played a couple of hours of this game and I was like barely a third of the way through it, and it was really demoralising, and I just really didn't enjoy it. But as a reward for all of you, here is a slightly cut down clip of me and Kira doing the forfeit of gross shots. You sure you want to join me in this?
Oh yeah, that's fine.
I just want to lick my finger and I was like, no, don't
I've had toxic waste before. It can't
We
be
have
any
had
worse
toxic
than
waste
that.
before.
I am now getting the fear salivating that you get when you look at something sour and go, oh no.
Oh no.
Cheers.
Skull.
Right.
It's good. That's fine.
I have so many cuts in my lip.
I have like the hair.
I have so many cuts in my lip.
I'm gonna have a sip of this though because like it's here in my mouth. I'm like, but it's surprisingly fine.
I can't wait for us in half an hour to be like, why is my stomach hurt? This looks disgusting. This looks grim as hell. I want to show you before it's mixed up. Like, ugh.
Brother,
I had that thought of actually, is it even going to mix? Unfortunately, yes.
Oh, it's chunky.
Can you see the bits? Oh, somehow you can. You can see the bits.
I feel like mixing it was a bad idea.
Don't test it. Oh no.
Cheers.
We might want that lemon after this, actually. Oh
This
no.
would be horrible.
Oh no.
Are you okay?
Taste weirdly fine.
Tastes really fine.
Texture. That was nearly immediate.
That was
Spiced apple and nacho cheese.
Copperberg spice apple and Doritos nacho cheese sauce mixed together. Taste, yeah, weirdly fine. Texture horrible. So this brings us to the end of this video as well as the end of this challenge. I want to say an absolute massive thank you to everyone who supported me over the last year in trying to complete these 100 games. We managed to raise £760 for Macmillan Cancer Support, and I couldn't have done that at all without you guys. I really appreciate everything that you've done and given to this challenge, and for dropping into streams to keep me going. I had a lot of fun doing this. It was also very stressful trying to fit 100 games in while I've got a full-time job and while I've been doing video editing and all that as well. So thank you so much for sticking with me and helping me on this journey. For the future of this channel, I do want to keep doing review videos like this. I've really enjoyed making them. And what's another voice in the ether of YouTube for their opinions on video games. For now, I will say another massive thank you, and do ask that you like and subscribe if you do enjoy this video, and do check me out on all my social medias that are down below, and do come tune in on Twitch when I am streaming. Thank you so much, and goodbye for now.